Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We'll wait for another couple of seconds before we'll start, just to give anyone else a chance to join. Hello everyone, and welcome to our Winshuttle webinar. Today we're talking about how to create script chains, and this is a feature that we have in one of our products, which is called transaction. And just to make sure that we all are talking about, we all understand the same concept, I'm going to have a look at a script which has been already. So right now I am on the script, and the feature of linking a script is to be found on the right-hand side area of a script, and it is in this section where we can see a vertical phrase here, advanced run options. Normally this is closed in here, and if you click this button, then it would expand and open. And the feature to link transaction scripts is the one that we see here in the middle of the screen. Before explaining what this feature is doing, I'm going to just go ahead and mention that once you are ready to link a transaction script, and you might be going in there and you may be ticking that button, do not forget to go up to your script and save. Because if you do not save, then once you are closing that script, this setting here is not going to be retained. But anyway, let's just go ahead and have a look at the reasons for which we may need to link transaction scripts. And there are a few reasons. Today I'm going to speak about two scenarios, and we're going to take a look at a demonstration of one scenario. So let's discuss about the most common use scenario, is where you could have two scripts that logically you want to run in a sequence. And when I'm saying logically, I mean that from a business process perspective, there is a specific task you are performing in SAP, and then there is another task with another transaction code you want to perform right after. The opposite case of this would be you could have 10 scripts that you want to run every Monday morning. Then those do not necessarily logically link. You wouldn't logically link them, but you might still go ahead and put them in a chain, link them, because you don't want to do too many tasks. So there is some automation that linking of the scripts offers. So scenario A is where we would be starting from script number 1, for example, creating a material number with transaction code MM01. And this particular script has its own Excel file. And then to be able to run this, I would go to that particular script and I would hit the run button. In a similar manner, there is a second script which is going into the same materials that I've just created, and for some reason is modifying those materials. So I could have script 2, MM02, but this one has, let's assume it's got its own Excel file, and then I would go and hit the run button on script number 2. So what we're trying to achieve right now is we want to get to this status where we will be working with script 1, script 2, but we want to use just one Excel file. And here we can see it's the same, going to be the same Excel as the one belonging to the first script, but it's up to you to decide what is the Excel file you want to use. The key point here is that we would be using one shared mapping file between the two scripts. And more than that, because we know you can actually even use one Excel file in this situation before linking. Nothing prevents you to have one file between these two scripts. But actually, where there is automation that's brought by linking scripts is where you actually will be pressing run just once. And although we do see it here in the middle, in fact, the only thing you would need to do is you would go to the first script, you would press run, and then it runs, and then immediately after script number 2 will go and run as well. So what would be the settings to do in order for this to be accomplished? So you would have to go to the advanced run options, and I'm gonna go ahead right now on this slide and make it quite clear that it's only necessary to go to the advanced run options of script number 1. So the settings that we see down here in this screenshot, no need to go ahead and perform them in both scripts. It is enough if you are, I mean, not only is it enough, you have to go just in script 1, and you have to go ahead and tick these settings. So what are these settings? This tick box here where I'm specifying I want to link this transaction script, meaning there is, let's call it a child or a sequential script that follows after this one, which is going to run immediately after. So after I'm ticking this box by saying, yes, I want to do that, then the next step would be, we would be pressing this browse button here. So we would locate the second script in chain. And in this scenario, we would be looking for script number 2 up here. Once we do that and the path, the file path would be retained here, the next step is you would want to go to the further 3 tick boxes. You would be ticking all of them, file, sheet, and start and end row. And what these are doing, these are telling to my second script that it has to retain the same settings for running as I'm setting in the first script. And by file, sheet, and start and end row, we actually mean, and I'm sure this is going to look really familiar, you work with this probably much more often than I do. So we mean script number 2 should be using the same file path as I have up here. It should be using the same start row, the same end row, and I want to use the same sheet. So by ticking those 3 boxes, we are telling our second script that it has to retain the same settings as I am making on this very first script. As a reminder, right now we are on the settings of script 1, so this window doesn't get set on the second one. So after this is done, assuming that the second script is mapped, we are ready to go ahead and run. And the only thing we will be doing is we will go again to script number 1 and we'll be running script number 1. So I'm sure all this sounds pretty confusing by now, script 1, script 2, 2 Excel files. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this. So what I'll do is I'm going to close down the script which I already have open just to start. I'm not going to record, don't worry. I'm not going to take all this time to record. They're already prepared. So I'll be using mm01 is going to be script 1, mm02 is going to be script 2. Each of these scripts currently has their own Excel file. So the first step you would want to do, assuming you start from a very similar perspective where you have separate scripts with their own separate files, you do want to still make sure they run individually. So what I would do is I would open each of those and I would do a quick dry run on each of those to make sure that without being linked, they are running. And just to show, this currently has a linkage here, so I'm going to take it out. I will save. I close this back here. I'm going to go ahead and open the Excel file of this mm01. And here it is. I'm clearing out the log. I don't want to run that many rows, so I'm just going to go ahead and take out this row. So I'll just run the first, the only rows which are currently populated, testing that this first script does work without that added complexity of having another one that will have to run right immediately after it. So right now, as you can see at the bottom of the screen here, processing row 1, processing row 2. If we go and have a look at the Excel file, we should be able to soon see some log messages populated here, hopefully. So it does seem to have already run the 3 transactions, but I do not see my log message. Yeah, and this sometimes does happen. So there is sometimes a delay where, as you can see, when I'm on the particular Excel cell with my cursor, and if you have a look up here, there is the message populated, and it's not yet taken into the view of the Excel. But the actual run, has it taken place? Let me just make sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear this once again. I don't want to say that it's running and it's truly not running. Okay, so it's taking it from where it is, and I'm gonna do another run. Hopefully this time it's gonna perform a little bit better. Yeah, so here we go. As we can see, these 3 materials get created, fine, so we're happy with that. We know that script number 1 runs fine. I'm going now to go ahead and open the second script, which is MM02 over here. MM02 is gonna be linked to its own Excel file, and we'll take a look at that in a few seconds. So I will go ahead and open the data file for MM02 as well. As we can see here, a second Excel file opens up. This is, since I last ran it a few minutes ago, I'm going to take out the log message. I'll just make a quick change in here. And I will just keep these 2 lines. I don't want to complicate things too much. So the same as for the first one, make sure that it runs before you actually link them. So I'm saving this Excel, going to script number 2. This is MM02, script number 2. I'm hitting run on second script. Now I'll go and have a look at the Excel file. Note that the timestamp has already changed to 12 minutes past 2, and now we can see that those 2 materials get changed. So I'm happy with that. It's exactly what I wanted, to make sure that each of the scripts run standalone before I link them. What I'll do next, on the second script, remember this image that we have here. We want the second script to go and look at the first Excel file. We don't want it to have its own Excel file anymore. So on the second script, which is MM02, I will point it to look to the first Excel file. So to do that, I'll just go ahead and close the second Excel file from there. I'm going to go and close the first one as well, just so that I can make some changes from within the script itself. There are a few ways to have it look at another Excel file. You can either browse for it in this area here, or you could actually go to update mapping, and that's what I'm going to do. And the reason I'm doing this is I will need to also redo the mapping, right? Because since I'm going to have it look at another Excel file, these columns here are not going to make much sense anymore. They will be overlapping with script number 1, and we don't want that. So first things first, once we open up the mapping, using this button on the Excel, we'll go ahead and click on open, and I will locate the file which belongs to script number 1, MM01. I'll go ahead and open it. We probably already recognize this. We've seen it before. And what I'll do is I'm going to use the next available columns to be able to link, to be able to map this second script. So I will select column D to use for the material number. So this is going to be the first column for the second script, and I'm going to drag and drop. we do get this message because if you look at the script, column D down here from the previous mapping is already used. But as we know, we don't want to do that. We don't want to use the previous Excel anymore. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press No in order to map this column and keep the existing mapping, and keeping because I'm anyway going to modify the others as well. So material number is going to go in column D, material description is going to go in column E, same message as before. Then I want to use column F for the gross weight. Then I want the weight unit to keep it with a fixed red pin, and that the weight unit is going to be pounds. And then finally I'm going to use column G for the net weight. And the same message as before. Now, probably what you're noticing right now as I'm doing this mapping, you don't see anything in the Excel, right? And as you probably already know, this is something which will happen whenever the mapping has been done in advance or has been done before, and you need to make some changes. You will not see a synchronized update of the Excel while you are mapping. And when that's the case, you always have to look at the script. The source of truth is going to be in the script up here. So as long as you see the columns that you know you want to map to, we're happy with that. And then we're going to update the headers from outside, and I'll show that as the next step. And note the log column has already gone to age. This is the first available column in here. Right, so I'm happy with this mapping. Of course, I'm not happy that I don't see it in the Excel yet, but that's what I'm going to take care of next. So I'll go ahead and save. Remember, we are on script number 2, coming out of script number 2, and now let's take care of that mapping bit there. So there is this button here on the right-hand side of the Excel path, just next to the Excel icon, which is, as we hover over it, is the right headers one. So I'm going to press that button. Specified sheet contains user data in the header. Or do you want to modify it? Yes, that's what I want to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And let's open the Excel file. Let's have a look at it. And not only do I want to have a look at it to see these new headers here belonging to script number 2, but also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a formula in this column that's going to pick up the material number. As a reminder, the business case we're using, we're creating a material number with script number 1, and we're going back in and changing it with script number 2. So since I want that number to be taken automatically from the log message of script number 1, I will need to put in a formula here to get that number out. So I'm going to go and create a formula. Let me just quickly do a test in here. So I will create a formula which looks like this: equal mid, and then I'm selecting the cell, and then I'm telling it start on the 10th character and pick up 5 characters. I believe that's the number of characters that my material number are going to retain, and we'll do a quick test just to make sure that's true. So what does this formula say? It's going into this cell, is taking starting from 0, and it's taking 5 characters from 0, and obviously since I haven't got much left after 0, that's why we don't see much. But now as I've just changed it, note how it's taken 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, because these are the 5th characters in the middle of the cells starting to count from the 10th. So that's what this formula does here. So taking out the log message, but I do keep the formula in, and I'm going to drag it down so it populates over all these 3 records. And then I'm going to put in some data for these other fields. So we've got the material description there, and for the material description, what I'll do is I'm going to use the skip field indicator, which is over here. So in the general options of the application, why I'm doing that? Of course, because I don't want to modify the description. It's fine to keep it in the script, but I'm going to use the symbol not to change it. And then for the gross weight, I have no idea what the gross weight by default of these materials would be, but I'm just going to go ahead and put in some numbers here. So I'll just populate 80, 67, 23, and let's put in some values and 20. So these are the changes I would like to make with the second script, modify the gross weight and the net weight. So this is the data on script number 2. All right, so to summarize a bit, what I've just done was I told the second script to look at a different file, and we can see that path is retained up here as well. So right now, my script mm02 is looking at mm01 Excel file, and then I went and I redid the mapping, and that is necessary because you don't want the fields that shouldn't overlap, you don't want them to overlap. So first script is over here on the left, second script starts in column D. And another thing I did was I put in a formula in column D so that I can take the number created in column C and use that as an input for script number 2. Okay, so I'm happy with the Excel file, but we are not done. Back to this picture over here. Remember these settings that we need to be setting on script number 1, and remember this important arrow here. So these settings should be sitting on script number 1. Script number 2 does not need these settings. So what I'll do right now, I'm going to go ahead and just close script number 2. I'm done with script 2. I don't need to do anything else with it. So closing it completely. And I still have script 1 here, mm01. And let's go ahead and make those settings. So I'm saying I want to link this transaction script, and then I am specifying which is the second script in chain, and in this case is the second one, the one I've just worked with. And then I want to use the same file, I want to use the same sheet, and also the start and the end row, which are mentioned up here. Once you make these settings here, don't forget, you do have to save, because otherwise, as soon as you close it, they're not going to be retained. Okay, so I think we're ready to run. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. We are on script number 1. And let's go and have a look at the Excel file. So now we're going to see if the formula that I put in was really the correct one. So note how the log messages get populated, and then as the log message gets populated, the formula is able to take the number out from there. And then at the same time, well, actually not at the same time, but while that's being done, then the second script is using these numbers as an input, and then going ahead in each of these numbers that have just been created and modifying the gross weight and the net weight. And very important detail is obviously that each of the scripts do need to have their own log messages, right? Because otherwise it would be very complicated to understand what has happened. So let's just go and pick up one of these records and we'll take a look in SAP. So MM0, I'll just go with MM02, and the number was 96430, I believe. That's the one. And what I want to see is that the weights, the gross weight and the net weight, 80 and 75, have been entered according to the data which was entered here for script number 2. So to summarize, I'm going to go ahead and use the slide once again. I think now this is going to be making more sense. So we started from a situation where each of my scripts was linked to its own Excel file. And as a result, I did have to go in each of them and hit run on each of these. You would have to do the same thing even if they were sharing the file. So run 2 times. With linking scripts, you're saving some time by, first of all, getting the files to look at the same Excel, getting the 2 scripts to look at the same Excel, but we know this is also possible with before linking. But more importantly, having to run just once on script number 1, and then immediately after, second script runs as well in sequence. And remember the important settings down here, which makes sure that it's picking up the same Excel settings. So that was scenario A. I'm going to say a few words about scenario B as well, but I will not demonstrate it, just to expand the view a bit and make it clear that this is possible as well. Remember when at the beginning I was saying logically you may want to link to scripts, but you may want to link two or more scripts without these being logically or business-wise linked. They have nothing to do with each other. You could be creating materials, equipment, cost centers, and you want to do that every time without having to go in and pressing run on each script. So if on a specific morning you want to run 10 scripts, you can actually go on those 10 scripts and you can start creating a chain of those 10 scripts, and then the only thing you gotta do is go and hit run on the first one. And by not setting those boxes, by keeping those unticked, then you ensure that each script stays with its own Excel file. So this second scenario, is different from the previous one because we don't use a common mapping file. Each of them stays with their own Excel file, and they do look at their own Excel file, but the only thing that they will be doing is they run in sequence without you having to go and press the button for each of them. Speaking of multiple scripts, so if we imagine we've got let's imagine I've got 4 scripts here. This is looking a bit silly, but hopefully you'll get what I'm trying to explain. So if these are my 4 scripts, and we're talking about the settings that are over here in this screenshot, those settings you would need to go ahead and put in the first script. And the first script will be specifying the path for script number 2 in this field over here. Then you go and you go into the second script and you put in the setting in the second as well, and you specify the path over here for script number 3. And then you go in and put the setting in script 3 as well, and you specify the path for the fourth one. You will not be setting this in the fourth script because that's the last child in that chain. So there is no one following. As a result, there's nothing for me to put in here as a path, and my next script would be this one. So the last script in chain, no need to have any setting in it. All right, so this is what I wanted to share with everyone today. Before we close the call, I'm going to go ahead and share one more thing that we here in Winshuttle are very happy to speak about. So we are planning a very interesting event which is called the Winshuttle user group for next year in 2016, and very cool location next year. This is taking place in Las Vegas, so go ahead on wug.winshuttle.com, have a look at the details, and in case you are interested, go ahead and let us know. We are planning lots of sessions and interactive activities where not only will you be able to learn some new things, but we'll also be talking about some of our newest products. So thank you very much for joining today, and I will be very happy to speak to you next time. Have a lovely rest of the day or rest of the evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.